When BioShock first surfaced in 2007, it was more than just a first-person shooter. It was an experience that dared to ask questions few games had ever posed. What does it mean to be free? How far can idealism go before it becomes tyranny? Created by Ken Levine and developed by Irrational Games, BioShock emerged as a spiritual successor to the 1999 cult classic System Shock 2. Yet, it was not merely another sci-fi shooter. It was a fully realized world of moral complexity, built upon themes of philosophy, economics, and human desire. The journey of BioShock began with Ken Levine's fascination with objectivism and the ideas of Ayn Rand, particularly her novel Atlas Shrugged. Levine imagined a world where Rand's philosophy of self-interest had been taken to its logical extreme. The result was Rapture, a submerged utopia built in the 1940s by industrialist Andrew Ryan as a refuge from government control, religion, and morality. Ryan's vision was to create a society where the artist, scientist, and entrepreneur could thrive without interference. But like all utopias, it inevitably decayed into chaos. Set in 1960, the original BioShock opens with the player, a man named Jack, surviving a plane crash over the Atlantic Ocean. He discovers a mysterious lighthouse that leads down to Rapture, a glittering, crumbling underwater city overrun by madness. The player quickly learns about Adam, a genetic material that allows people to rewrite their DNA, granting them superhuman abilities at the cost of their sanity. The citizens of Rapture, once great thinkers and dreamers, have become disfigured addicts known as splicers, obsessed with Adam and power. Through masterful world building, environmental storytelling, and a deeply immersive atmosphere, BioShock created an emotional and intellectual experience that transcended its genre. Its iconic twist, the revelation of the phrase, "Would you kindly?" shattered players' sense of control, forcing them to confront the illusion of free will in games themselves. This moment became one of the most discussed plot twists in gaming history, turning BioShock into a landmark work of interactive narrative. Following the success of the first game, 2010's BioShock 2 returned to Rapture, but told a more personal story. Developed by 2K Marin rather than Irrational Games, the sequel placed players in the role of Subject Delta, one of the original Big Daddies, hulking protectors of the eerie, wide-eyed little sisters who harvested Adam from corpses. Set 8 years after the events of the first game, BioShock 2 explored themes of parenthood, identity, and redemption, focusing on the bond between Delta and his little sister, Eleanor. While initially met with mixed reactions for retreading familiar ground, the game's emotional depth and refined combat later earned it recognition as an essential continuation of the series. In 2013, Ken Levine and his team reimagined the franchise with BioShock Infinite, taking the story out of the ocean and into the sky. The game introduced Columbia, a breathtaking floating city suspended by quantum technology and driven by a distorted version of American exceptionalism. Set in 1912, it followed Booker DeWitt, a former Pinkerton agent, on a mission to rescue a young woman named Elizabeth from the city's religious and political turmoil. While Infinite traded Rapture's Art Deco despair for Columbia's patriotic grandeur, it carried the same philosophical weight. It examined nationalism, racism, and determinism, challenging the player's perception of time and morality. Elizabeth's reality-bending powers allowed her to open tears into parallel universes, introducing one of the most complex narratives in gaming. Infinite's climactic revelation, that Booker and the villainous Comstock were the same man across realities, reinforced BioShock's fascination with cycles of guilt, choice, and consequence. BioShock Infinite received widespread acclaim for its storytelling, voice acting, and artistic direction. Its expansions, Burial at Sea Parts 1 and 2, elegantly tied Infinite's story back to the original games, returning players to Rapture one final time. In these downloadable episodes, players experience the fall of the underwater city from a new perspective, blending the two worlds and themes into one cohesive mythos. The franchise's philosophical backbone set it apart from typical shooters. While most games rewarded power and domination, BioShock questioned them. It invited players to make moral choices, such as deciding whether to harvest or save the little sisters, forcing them to confront the cost of survival. Its settings, whether the crumbling halls of Rapture or the shining towers of Columbia, served as reflections of humanity's greatest ambitions and deepest flaws. Beyond its narrative, BioShock's impact on the gaming industry was profound. It proved that video games could tell stories as complex and meaningful as literature or film. It combined gameplay with narrative immersion, using audio diaries, environmental details, and player interaction to build a living world. The franchise inspired countless successors, from Dishonored and Prey to Deus Ex and Outer Worlds, all of which drew from its balance of choice, philosophy, and atmosphere. Despite its success, the future of BioShock has been marked by uncertainty. In 2014, Ken Levine announced the closure of Irrational Games, stating his desire to create smaller, narrative-driven projects. The BioShock series remained with 2K Games, which confirmed in 2019 that a new installment was in development under a new studio, Cloud Chamber. While details remain scarce, fans eagerly await a return to the moral complexity, haunting beauty, and immersive storytelling that defined the franchise. The legacy of BioShock endures because it transcends its medium. It is not just a story about cities in the sky or under the sea. It is a meditation on the nature of control, the fragility of ideals, and the inevitability of human corruption. Whether exploring the ruins of Rapture or the clouds of Columbia, players are not just participants in a game. They are explorers of philosophy and consequence. In the end, BioShock remains a masterpiece because it dares to ask the impossible questions, not just, would you kindly, but what kind of person are you when no one is watching? Its world may be fictional, but its reflection of humanity is chillingly real. Like the cities it built, the BioShock franchise stands as a monument to both human brilliance and hubris, forever echoing beneath the waves and above the clouds.